KM to AM. McPherson. Okay, we're rolling.
To honor your signature.
We're here at the Tour Academy of Bergen County. These young guys reached out. They want to know about my life, my career, my journey into sports, and I'm guessing a couple of them listen to WFAN, so quickly we'll bring them through how I got here, how I got to this point. This is basically a timeline from not when I was this small, but when I was in high school to present day. So let's click to the first slide. In high school in Ocean Township, New Jersey, the shore area, Monmouth County, I love sports, played sports, talked sports. I was always just a fan of football, basketball, baseball, everything. Anybody that wanted to talk sports with me, I talked sports. Anybody that wanted to play anything, whether it was recess, whether it was after school, whether it was rec sports, I did it. I was a good student. I didn't have a choice. I was on honor roll. I was voted into the student council. I was the quarterback and captain of the football team. I knew very early on I had to excel to make it out of my situation. Basically what that little spot means is just like, you know, I didn't come from a lot of money. I grew up with a single parent. I was in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I'm the first person from my family to go to college. But I knew that, you know, I couldn't slack off. I knew that I couldn't, you know, go to school and get bad grades. So like, I had A's and B's. I was always on the honor roll. I was a popular kid, so I got voted on the student council, and there's also responsibilities that come with that. And I played football. So in high school, as a sophomore, junior, and senior, I was the quarterback my senior year. I was captain. And basically, I knew that that could get me out of my 2-bedroom apartment, living with my mom, my brother, my sister. Like, that could get me to a better place. I believed in God's plan for me and felt like God gave me all the tools to be successful. Despite the disadvantages I had to control what I could control. Your belief, your faith is paramount. It's what wakes you up in the morning. You pray before you go to bed. I bless my food. Come on in, come on in, come on in. No, you're not interrupting. Don't even worry about it. You know, I know that I am not almighty. I know that I am not powerful, but through God I am. And very young, I got baptized. I didn't choose religion. My grandmother kind of put it on me, but, you know, it helped me from age like 7, 8, those early years. I remember going to church. I remember praying. I remember getting my first Bible, to now, 30 years later, still very much feeling like God has a plan for me. This is just high school me. This is going to prom. That's, you know, varsity quarterback. Just so you can visualize. You see how old and grainy the photos are. I'm 36. College days. So I went to James Madison University and Monmouth University. Football paid for me to go to school. I had a blast in 2 places. I wasn't going to the NFL. So I had about 10 scholarships coming out of high school. I got my first scholarship from Hofstra University when I was 16. I remember telling my mom that I got an offer from Hofstra, and she didn't even really know what it meant. What it meant to me was that I get out of here. I can go to college for 4 years. I can get a degree and get a job, and maybe if I was good enough, go to the NFL, but like, I'm not big enough, fast enough, strong enough. I said, I knew I wasn't big enough or fast enough. I honestly didn't care enough at that young age. I was good enough to be a scholarship athlete and party all the time. I just got to school at James Madison University, and I was just one of the guys on the team. I wanted to hang out with girls. I wanted to just be in the college life like it was a movie. I didn't take football serious enough, and I mean, I wouldn't say it's a regret, but I know if I was more locked in on football, maybe I would have had a shot, but that's okay. Everything happens for a reason, right? I learned a lot about life and people in college. I transferred when I fell out of love with the game. I went back home to Jersey. I went to Monmouth University because they had an FM radio station and TV set on campus. I went from undeclared to communications, radio, and TV. I was going pro in this. So I hear you guys have a little like TV station, radio station, like that type of set being built here. That was my driving force. So I'm down in Virginia. I'm hating going to practice. I'm hating football, and I'm like, I'm going to transfer. But I wasn't transfer thinking like I'm going to start at another school. I'm thinking, okay, now I didn't even have a major. I didn't go to school with an idea of what I wanted to do. I just went in undeclared. But when I transferred, I said, okay, now I'm going to be a communication major, radio and television, and get some reps at Monmouth University back home where I grew up. So this is me as a backup quarterback. on ESPN, sending in signals, calling plays, and yeah, that just gives you a feel for, playing football. Fresh out of school, the real world. Had to hustle, had to figure it out every day. The struggle was real. Back against the wall, you find out who you are. I wouldn't change a thing. I had no help, no leads, no money, no excuse. So, going back to my upbringing, being the first person out of my family to go to college, my mom not having much money, my dad not being around, and just not having many family members that were there, I just kind of was, I graduated, but I'm like, what now? I applied to so many jobs and heard nothing, and that's part of the process. I sent cover letters and resumes out. I tried my best. I went on interviews and I got let down. There were interviews that I had that I thought I was going to get the job, didn't get it. I've done so many jobs for $0 or exposure opportunity. Now that's good and bad. There are things where you got to cut your teeth. There's things that you have to do just to get the exposure of being on a TV set or the opportunity to work with somebody famous. My main source of income came from being a DJ, MC, promoter at bars and clubs in the Jersey Shore area. So, I'm in Monmouth County. This was one of my promo pics from my college house. Basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday on a microphone in front of people playing music and promoting, different clubs in the area just to make a little bit of money. I worked at some gyms as well during the day. Then I landed a job at a new guitar center in my town, and I only worked there for 8 months. I didn't come up with this name, but they used to call me DJ Mac Diesel. I used to be jacked. I used to have some muscles. Allied Entertainment, all in every day, kind of like, with the acronym. And these were my boys that I DJ'd with. This is Asbury Park, Jersey Shore, where we all kind of just grew up and played different gigs. Breaking into the media, this is it, right? So 2014, I made the MLB Fan Cave, and it changed my life. 25,000 people applied to be in what was called the MLB Fan Cave. I got chosen to be the New York Yankee fan. This was my big break. I spent a full season in New York watching games and creating content. It was Derek Jeter's final season too, so that made it a little more special. MTV hosted a show every Tuesday called Off the Bat. It was supposed to be like a catchy, younger show that combined sports and music. I got my first job in NYC the following year at MTV2. I always mention this young lady named Brittany Travis because she gave me a shot. And she didn't have to give me a shot, but she remembered seeing me in the fan cave, and she specifically said, you're a leader. I liked your energy. I liked how you carried yourself in there. When I applied to the job, I didn't know her, but when she saw my resume, all I had on my resume really was this Guitar Center and that I was a DJ. She gave me my first shot to work in corporate NYC. I put 2.5 years on my resume there. Now I had some power. Now I had something on my resume. Now I have MTV for 3.5 years, MLB Fan Cave. You need years of experience to even get, to the next level. So this is the Fan Cave. These people that are wearing the other teams to this day are like family. We just had our 10-year reunion in 2024. We've all grown up to get married and have kids. I talk to them all the time. My boy Dan works at MLB. I was just with him last week. Serena just won the World Series with the Dodgers and came to New York. And they're all talented and they're all great in their own way. And I'm blessed to be a part of that experiment that Major League Baseball did and have those friends for life. I got that feeling in my stomach. It was time to make a move, so I quit and applied to social media jobs only in sports. I was working at MTV and I was making not a lot of money, and I wasn't getting credit for a lot of the creativity I had. And I started all the Wild and Out accounts. I did Charlemagne's show Uncommon Sense. I worked with some of the Girl Code, Guy Code people, Jersey Shore people were in there. And so I just ended up quitting with no job lined up. I didn't get paid out, I didn't get a severance pay. I didn't collect unemployment. I started driving Lyft morning, afternoon, and night while applying to jobs. I sold stuff on Facebook like Jordans, like collector's items, like I'll sell a table, something to just make ends meet. About a month went by and I landed a job at fuboTV as their first social media employee on the marketing team. They had less than 100 employees at the time. You guys might know fuboTV now. It's a streaming service for sports fans. I love that place. I love that job. And then Jay-Z came calling. So there's me with DJ Khaled, the Roc Nation hat. I'm in Times Square. And this is me just in New York hustling all the time and looking to the sky, looking to God for answers and just hoping that I could win. New York, big city of dreams, but everything in New York ain't always what it seems. DJ AM, rest in peace. That's his last tweet. I left a good job, great culture. I passed on shares in the company and I was chasing a dream. Like there's like a dream that I have that like sometimes I'll wake up and I'm like director level still at Fubo and I have shares in the company and I'm still there. But Jay-Z came calling, somebody working at Roc Nation sent me a LinkedIn message saying they liked my resume and they wanted me to apply for a digital marketing job. I got the job. I thought working at a sports agency and record label like Roc Nation was the best thing ever. I'm like combining sports and music. This is what I'm into. I think I was 30 at the time and I'm thinking I made it. I was completely wrong. I ended up quitting in 3 months and having to bet on myself. I started really creating content that summer. That summer of 2018 when I quit that job, they did pay me out for a couple months, which helped. But that's when I bought a Canon, I bought a new MacBook, and every day I just was like filming myself, vlogging, going to Yankee Stadium. I'll go to Brooklyn. I'll walk from Brooklyn to Manhattan and film it. And I just started really working on my editing and everything. This is me at the US Open in 2017 on behalf of Fubo. This is me at CC Sabathia's celebrity softball game working with Roc Nation. This is me doing some modeling stuff. I also signed a modeling contract right after that, just hustling in New York, trying to figure it out. And then this is me at Yankee Stadium. If you're a Yankee fan, you know that guy right there, Joe's McFly. We used to do a podcast together. It's funny. This is CC softball game. This ball that I'm holding, CC Sabathia threw that up to section 207, and I got it. So that's that picture from then. I worked on it, and it worked. Not right away, but there were early signs that this was it. I wasn't making any money, though. My vlogs were hitting, my followers were growing. The first podcast I did was a success. I got noticed by Yankees Twitter, which led me to the Yes Network. I ended up filming 2 commercials. Yankees Twitter, if any of you guys are on Twitter, so many of us came up just through being content creators and getting retweeted. And I got invited to a suite with the Yes Network as one of the top 10 people you need to know on Yankees Twitter. When I got in front of their executives and just started talking and meeting people and shaking hands, they invited me to another game, and a producer by the name of Jonathan Ziegler pitched me on a commercial called Fandom Acts of Kindness. That's me in the city running around, and what we were doing was giving out jerseys and hats and book bags and koozies as Fandom Acts of Kindness, finding Yankee fans in New York. I still missed the security of my day job. I tried to go back. Now, this wasn't a job. This was a one-off. I didn't get paid for the first one. I'm still hustling and doing things, but it's not making money. When you have a corporate job, you have a paycheck every 2 weeks, you have health care, you have the security of that, where I was still kind of feeling like I needed to go back. This is me with David Cohn doing another Yes Network shoot. Shout out to my boy Davey Cuts from the Bronx. This is me in London at the London series. That was such a great look for me. I did a lot of things out there. And then George's Box was my first podcast I did with Bronx Pinstripes, and it was a huge success. Straw that broke the camel's back. I interviewed for a job. I landed that job. It got taken away from me, and I knew. So as I'm going back and forth, do I want to be a content creator? Do I want to go back to being a social media manager? I interviewed for a job at Spartan Race, and I crushed it. I got the job that night. The next morning, they called me back, and they said that the creative agency that represented me, they couldn't agree on like $10,000, $5,000 for the booking scheduling fee, something I didn't know about. So that job got pulled from under me, and I'm like, this is a sign from the universe. A month before that, I got in a car crash driving Lyft Uber. I was at a light, and a car hit a car behind me. November 7th, 2019, I stopped driving Uber and never did another Uber ride. I stopped driving Lyft November 2019. I landed and lasted this job in December 2019. So the job that I'm talking about, it was December 2019 that I landed and lost this job. Yeah, I lost the job because nothing of my own doing, because of some back-end stuff. I ended up getting an internship entry-level job at Jomboy Media early 2020, and then the pandemic hit. So if you guys know Jomboy, Jomboy's first office was in the Bronx, and they were able to work out of that office because it was in a residential building, not a commercial building. The pandemic hit, we weren't together all the time, but like that's me, and this is Joni. She's a season ticket holder at Yankee Stadium, section 422. She's been supporting me since the Fan Cave. I go up and visit her at Yankee Stadium all the time. She came to visit me at Jomboy. I worked there for a little over a year, and that's what led me to WFAN, the universe never unconnected. So all of this was connected, right? This is me doing Talking Nets. That's my boy Hudson. We had a podcast that KD followed, covering the Nets. This is a panel we did at the All-Star game in Denver. This is also from the All-Star game in Denver. There's Jomboy, Chris Rose, BBD. That's my wife, Nicole, me. We're just chilling at the game. One more. Living the dream and doing radio and TV. WFAN leads me to MLB Network, Yes Network, NBC, so many other opportunities in NYC. You guys know who this is? The legendary Schmooze. Me here, you there. Steve Summers at WFAN. This was, I think, Christmas Eve. And when I was working at Jomboy, they did an episode of Moose and Maggie from like 11 or 10 to 2. And that was August 6th of 2021. I ended up getting an email from Spike Eskin like the week later about auditioning for a spot on WFAN. I did not know it would be the nighttime spot. I did not know Steve was about to retire. I thought it was going to be maybe overnight, maybe weekend, fill-in, whatever. I did the audition August 25th. I didn't hear back for like a month or two. 2 months go by, and they're like, Steve's retiring. You're going to be our new nighttime host and replace the Schmooze. I still don't feel like I replaced him. I've just come in and carved out my own lane. He's iconic. He's a legend. I take over the nighttime shift when Steve retires. I audition and land a spot on MLB Network's first season of Off Base. Off Base is now discontinued, so that's history as well. I made appearances on Yes for Yankees Magazine and NBC News for Sports Final. The first image you saw of me in the suit and tie, that's on NBC Sunday Night News. I am truly blessed. I don't even remember everything I've done. I just keep stacking things and praying to God that it continues, and just trying to be a good person and a good man, and like, you know, show up and do things like this today. So that's the long and short of it. I kind of rushed through it because I know we have anything that popped in your head, maybe even something that you had for me before you saw all of that. Just raise your hand, I'll point to you and we'll go through them. Womp, womp, womp. Not one question. Okay, good. That means I answered all the questions. I gave you enough information.
So when you were working at Jomboy Media, we actually went to a warehouse.
Yeah.
What were you doing at Jomboy Media?
So when I first came to Jomboy, I took my social media experience from MTV, from fuboTV, from Roc Nation to Jomboy. But Jomboy and I had known each other from Yankees Twitter. I saw Jomboy's rise, and he saw mine as well. We got together in 2019 at a game, exchanged numbers, and then when I did that first podcast, I moved on from that company, and I think I was the 6th employee Jomboy hired. So what I was a combination of a social media manager, but then also a podcast host. And I did a Nets podcast, I did a Yankees podcast, and then I did a lot of back-end stuff for Jomboy's YouTube channel. I helped build out at Jomboy Media Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I was, building tables and chairs in the first office. I was taking out the garbage in the first office. It was such a young startup culture back in 2019, 2020 when I was with those guys. We were just doing everything to win. So yeah, my title was social media manager, podcast host, but I was doing whatever Jomboy needed me to do and whatever I could do to help us get seen.
So I don't know how old you are. I don't know.
36.
So I'm 33. So I feel like these guys don't appreciate the radio as much as I grew up listening to Mike the Mad Dog. I listened to you every night cleaning up my house.
Thank you.
I'm a big radio guy. What would you say to these guys who probably don't have the attention span for the radio because they say, I think you do podcasts as well.
Yeah.
No commercials. But to me, like, the radio is an art. Like, it's to me, it's like the most fascinating thing to listen to. I still listen to the radio over podcasts. So what would you say? How do you juggle the fact that, like, the next generation wants nothing to do with the radio, even though there's such amazing personalities still on the radio?
When I did take this radio job in 2021, and I already had some followers and some internet success, there were some people that said, why are you going to the radio? The radio's dying. Kids don't listen to the radio. Yeah. And I said, well, I can make them listen to the radio. I can change that. They don't listen because there's no one that they connect with. Yeah. I have 12, 13-year-old callers calling my show every night. late where they should be asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've branded my show where, like, you know, people know the name of the show, and radio is so intimate, right? It feels so one-to-one,
Yeah.
where you're listening in your AirPods at night by yourself. You might be getting ready to go to sleep. You feel like you're hanging out with me. You feel like you're hanging out with whoever's on the radio. So I just think it's the intimacy of that one-to-one theater of the mind, you know, the host being able to tell stories and articulate things that can make you see things without being able to see them. I think it's special, and it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon.
How is it like? It's like feels like it's really difficult to follow up guys like Evan and Tiki and like Boomer and like Gio. Like,
Yeah.
Very hard.
So, you know,
Much more like experience and like I feel like maybe well known.
so, you know, you mentioned Boomer and Tiki. They're former NFL players, and they've been doing radio for 2 decades. I've been doing radio for 3, going on 4 years now. I didn't play in the NFL. Like I said, I knew I wasn't going pro. But you know what? Like, you follow those guys up and you believe in yourself that you belong. You follow those guys up and you say, I'm here for a reason. It doesn't matter that I'm the nighttime host. It doesn't matter. Like, you have to go out and prove it every single time. So every time that dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, I get a like jolt of energy, there's a light on there that says on air, and I just know I have to perform. I know that I have to deliver. I know that I have to prove that, like, I belong in this pantheon of great hosts. I belong with these guys, and every night that I do that, I think I've, you know, proven myself. I think I belong now. Yeah, go for it.
How did you not lose hope, like, when you kept, like, losing your job and, like, you kept switching jobs?
Prayer, faith. Man, there's passages in the Bible. There are things that my grandmother told me. I just always felt like God had a plan for me, and I didn't get down on myself because I'm like, what is this preparing me for? Why am I going through this now? You know, how is this making me evolve and change for the better? What lessons am I learning? So I just always knew that, like, I was gonna win, but like, you don't just win every single time. You don't go undefeated. Like, you're gonna lose, you're gonna mess up, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna struggle. But like, through that, you gotta become better. You gotta, you know, just pick yourself up and believe that God has a plan for you. And then, you know, if you're above ground and you're breathing, you live to fight the next day. Yeah.